my name's Jane Bowden. I live here at Castle House. I've lived here for about 5 years now, not really very long, but it's a beautiful spot, very peaceful, and I do love it. I bought it really because of the peace and quiet and the beautiful scenery. It's just all around the hills. It's a fantastic spot. It's really lovely. I didn't actually buy it because there's a castle, but I was told that this field behind is an ancient castle. There are the foundations of an ancient castle. So I'll be very interested to find out what actually is there.
My name's Tim Hovard. I'm the Archaeological Projects Manager for Herefordshire Council, and my role really is a facilitator in that I'm organising a series of surveys for the History Group. The project really is about finding out about Cusop Castle, what sort of castle it was, perhaps what shape it was, whether it had stone elements, how developed it was, and potentially, by the end, when it began and when it finished life as a castle. It's an unusual castle for the Welsh Marches because most of them are Motte and Bailey castles, very simple with a large mound and a ringwork of earth defences. This one doesn't have a very large motte. In fact, it doesn't have a motte at all. It's flat on the top, but it has a ringwork around it, which is much larger than most defences of normal Motte and Bailey castles. You can do a lot without damaging the site purely through non-intrusive methods. So topographic survey, so planning the lumps and bumps, if you like, of the site, and then through geophysical survey, so looking into the ground without putting anything in it.
We're conducting a topographical survey on the castle so we can record all the features that we can see, the humps and the bumps as the English Heritage Chairman calls them, using a bit of kit, EDM, prism and the GPS system that you've probably seen earlier. We record a series of points that are all tied into the OS, and that allows us to create a contour map of the site. Then we'll pick out individual features as lines, and then we force the contours to go over those features, and we create a 3D map basically of the site. So as you're walking around, you feel your feet going up and down, so you know you've gone over something, so you come back and you take more readings to pick up that feature, but it really does require you to walk about.
It began several years ago now, before the COVID business, with a research group set up by Denise, our colleague, and we pursued the research of the castle and the community, the history of the community as a whole, and we got so far. We did a lot of documentary research, and we reached the point where there wasn't more we could find out, and we were thinking in terms of seeing if archaeology could tell us something about the castle in particular, which is one of the two biggest, most important sites in the whole community. And then COVID happened, and it all stopped, and we all stayed at home, and the archaeologists we were in touch with couldn't go out and research things, so it was a bit of a full stop really. But then things passed and moved on, and we thought, well, why don't we get this going again? But let's focus now on looking at the thing we really think we can find out more about, which is the archaeology of the castle. So we got back in touch with the county archaeologist, Tim Hovard, who has been incredibly helpful. We couldn't do this without the county having an archaeology service.
As a group, we actually pooled ideas on where to get funding. So I put together the application with a lot of input from the other team members and other people in the history group as well. But we did also obtain some funding locally. from the history group itself and also from the Hay Community Investment Company. So it's great to have those sort of local stakeholders in it as well.
Well, this is my house I used to live in. It's called Schoolhouse, and it's in Cusop, and it overlooks the castle site. My name's Sue Hodgetts. I'm chair of the Cusop History Group. And I used to live here, and I'm very interested in Cusop history, and I found out more about it through contacts that I made through the Cusop History Group starting. Neville Jones had dropped a note through my door saying, would I be interested in finding out about the houses in Cusop? I thought it would be great. So I went along to a meeting and we all started up the Cusop History Group.
My name's Anne Rosevear and I'm with Tiger Geo, geophysical survey company, who are doing some magnetic survey today for the Castle project. Basically, we have got a set of magnetometers mounted on our sledge, which is towed behind the quad, and we've got a GPS tracking system so we can see where we've been driving, so we can navigate and make sure we've covered the whole of the footprint that we can with data. And that's going to be looking at small magnetic changes in the soil, so if we've got any hearths, pits or ditches and things like that inside the castle structure, we should be able to see those. Yeah, that's right. It's all basically recorded onto the logging system. We'll be doing a download after we've finished, and then we'll be looking at it when we get back to the office. We'll be putting our data together with the topology data that Tim has made, Tim and Simon, and then we'll be looking at that all together and deciding then what other little bits of survey we're going to be doing as a follow-up, because we're going to be coming back to do a little bit of extra work with a different set of equipment. This is an electrical resistance meter, so we're looking with that at soil moisture content effectively. So if you imagine we've got things like wall foundations, or we've got banks, or we've got ditches, we'll have different soil moisture contents, and it will vary after rainfall and things like that as well. But some archaeological features are more detectable by that method than they are by magnetics, and some things are more by magnetic survey than they are by electrical resistance. So we'll be targeting little areas of that so that we can actually pick up extra goodies, hopefully, extra little details about the site, and build a better overall understanding than we can from just one method alone.
So the surveys have been done, the topographic survey and the geophysical survey, and the results are in from both, and they've actually proved to be quite interesting. We've got bits that have been picked up with the geophysics that haven't been picked up with the topographic survey, and vice versa. So when we put the two together, the information that we've got is actually quite a lot for such a small site. It's not conclusive, of course, but we do know that some of the principal earthworks, so this low terrace in front of me here, is the remains of a trackway, which doesn't show up terribly well with the geophysics, but the route is fairly clear from the topographic survey. We have a flat area behind it, which has no geophysics results on at all, and no earthworks on, which is a mystery at the moment, but that's good because it means that we have something to find out from an archaeological perspective, i.e. by digging a hole. We have a series of earthworks over there that we'll look at in a bit that, again, don't show up terribly well with the geophysics, but show up very well as a discrete section of earthworks. And then over here we have a series of earthworks that have some very, very good geophysics anomalies in, suggesting that there was a stone building here. So this is the area that shows up on both the geophysics and the topographic survey, and it's a series of earthworks that's matched by the geophysics of a series of angular structures. This here is a corner, or it appears to be a corner, with a bank running through here, which runs through this way and then turns through 90 degrees. And this matches exactly what's on the geophysics. And the geophysics suggests that there's a stone wall running through here that turns and goes up through this way, suggesting that this is perhaps the gable end of a large stone building that's been robbed out on this corner. So the two surveys, the topographic survey and the geophysical survey, have shown us one thing at least, and that's that Cusop Castle doesn't easily give up its secrets. But what it has done is provide a huge amount of information for us to go forward on. So we now have a good understanding of the type of earthwork here. We have a series of targets from the earthworks that we could look at in more detail, perhaps by excavation. And as far as the geophysics are concerned, we can tell that some relate to the earthworks, some don't relate to earthworks, and when they tend to relate to earthworks, they relate to what we think is a very substantial stone structure, and it's the only stone structure that the geophysics has picked up. So the idea at the moment is that we have perhaps a large stone building relating to a type of castle, and the rest of the area inside the castle was used for domestic timber framed buildings, lighter buildings at least, that don't show up so well in the geophysics.
Well, we've come to the end of what might be our first phase, but this project's been so intriguing, hasn't it? We really want to find out more.
Yes, it's so intriguing, isn't it? The mystery continues.
When we started, I was curious, and now we've finished, I'm even more curious.
There's enough of interest in the report that I really hope we get the opportunity to investigate further.
My name is Denise Derbyshire, and I would like to pay tribute to the reason why Cusop History Group is here. And his name is Neville Jones, who died earlier this year. You see, without Neville, I wouldn't be here discussing history with any of you, because Cusop History Group, I'm fairly certain, would not be existing. Any research we're undertaking is really all down to one man's energy and passion. Because Neville was so passionate about sharing his knowledge, so much knowledge that was inside him in his head, because he wanted to share it for posterity and record the history that surrounds Cusop.